the picture we've been painting of a very insecure middle of the country, and well, not just the middle, but everywhere, predominantly white, but also not entirely white at all, in the wake of a massive historic shift in demographics in the country. And they're worried about the identity of the country and their sense of their belonging in it. Let's put this in the best terms possible. To my mind, that's an understandable response, that we need to reassure people that America is not going to become something else, that this wave of immigration is going to strengthen the society in the long run. They will all become Americans like you at some point. These separate cultures will all mesh together, and we can get through this. The left's position is to say that all these people, basically, I don't want to caricature it, but let's say it's that most of these people are white racist bigots, that the entire country is essentially a system built on white supremacy that is still in full operation. Therefore, ban them, suppress them, show them what's right and what's wrong, legalize 11 million unauthorized illegal immigrants in this country right away, and then adopt a philosophy of racial difference that is essentially zero-sum, in which diversity includes everybody but white people, and in which the ideology has come to seem directly threatening white people as such. I mean, whiteness is a demonized term. Now, a lot of white people in America, however you want to describe that. So that is why I am not that optimistic about managing to manage this divide. We can't get rid of it, but we can manage it. The first thing that Biden has told us, the first piece of legislation, which is a defining moment on Wednesday, will be a mass amnesty and combined with a rather trivial level of increased border security. Now, that does not strike me as substantively a good symbol for the beginning of an administration. And what do you think?
I agree with a lot of that. I've thought that if you have people who are alienated, and there are a lot of them, as you say, this idea that you're going to find some way to banish the political power of the 40% or so of the country, and the 40% that is located in the areas where the constitutional and governing system gives them hugely disproportionate power beyond their 40% numbers. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. If the 40% of the cities, you can do that to them. You can't do that to the 40% that have the advantage of the Electoral College and the Senate and the filibuster and rural and the inevitable rural and gerrymandering, both the part that we could do something about and the part that really is helpless because there are just that many people in the cities and that few everywhere else. So you have to proceed gently and wisely, and you have to call people back. It's this work of national unification is going to be challenging, and so. I mean, I've had a series of suggestions. I think you have to join things. You have to create a stronger sense of belonging. I'm a big believer. I've become an increasingly outspoken advocate of some self-consciously national form of health insurance. Something where people can, that John F. Kennedy line about ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you. That's not the American way. Americans ask, what's in it for me? That's the question. So
that's why they came here.
So if you say, what do you get for being an American? Well, the flag, that's nice, but you get this card. And non-Americans don't have it, not because they're bad, they just don't. And Americans do, and all your fellow Americans have it, and you're all in this together. At the same time, I agree with you that we need lower levels of immigration because this special the trap we're in with immigration is if you do a ratio, the people who are big proponents of immigration will say, look, if you do a ratio of how many immigrants per year come, legal, illegal, asylum, the whole number, relative to the existing population, that's much smaller than it was in the 1880s, 1890s. So what's the big deal? We did it once before. We can do it again. It's actually, relative to the population, it's only half what it was more than a century ago, and we managed that. Okay, that's one way to measure. Here's another way. Back then, Americans were having lots and lots of children of their own. So even when you had big immigration, it didn't change the country so fast. In fact, between 1880 and 1910, the peak years of immigration, the share of foreign-born in the country went down because the natives, including the people who were natural, who were one generation away, they were having so many children that the foreign-born became a declining share of the population. There are fewer foreign-born in the population in 1910 than in 1880. Whereas now, because the natives are having so few children, moderate levels of immigration have a big social shock. And when I was doing more reporting on this, I remember going to a school in suburb of Charlotte, North Carolina, and talking to a family where they had 3 kids. And the first kid had all 3 kids had gone to the same elementary school. The first kid, when he had started, there had been no non-English speakers in the school. And by the time their third was in 4th or 5th grade, wherever the third was, the school was like 1/3 non-English speaking in this lifetime of one family. Now that's a shocking change. And it's more change than people can bear. But we have to also, it's not just a matter of what you stop, it's also a matter of what you give if you're going to make people feel that they're in this country together.
Yeah, I mean, I wish national health insurance would do that. I mean, national health insurance exists as a national religion in the United Kingdom, for example.
Well, you're not going to copy
didn't
it.
prevent Brexit.
No.
But there's got to be something that there's got to be a narrative about America. Now, Obama, I think, did have that narrative that we include more and more, we build, but we certainly don't disparage our founding. We see it as an imperfect project that we keep working on. That model of seeing America as perfectible or at least improvable constantly, and a story of that improvement, always struck me as a brilliant way of understanding America and a way of explaining multiracial, multicultural America.